recently there has been a rise of artificial intelligence, and it has been affecting a lot of sectors. For example, let's say a lot of people who were doing copywriting or who were writing scripts, all of a sudden or overnight, right now we can just go, let's say, to just ChatGPT or Gemini AI, just enter a prompt, and here you are. You have a whole script. Or if you want to do a drawing, I don't know how is it in architecture. So how has AI helped you or affected you in the architecture field?
Yes, I've been using the Mid-Journey software a lot, which creates images for you, which is pretty cool. I've been getting some good ideas from that. So it gets quite challenging to come up with like initial idea of what it's kind of going to look like. So I sometimes use that nowadays. So if I got a project like this one I'm doing at the moment in town, I got the inspiration. I came up with the idea like it's in Masaki area, which is near the cliffs, and I had an idea of creating something like a broken rock or something because it's like inspired from the cliff. So I was typing in like broken rock building, um, Dar es Salaam cliff face, and it pumps out images of buildings, realistic buildings of like rock inspired. So it gives you, starts giving you some ideas. Not exactly, but it just starts to get the creative ideas flowing. There was another one in Zanzibar. It was like auditorium I was working on. So I was searching AI for like Swahili Zanzibar vibe auditorium for hotel, and it was giving me some images, and I gave some to showed some to the client, and they liked one. I go, yeah, they were like, because I didn't have time to do anything, and I showed him a couple of images, and he liked one. He goes, oh yeah, like that, like that. So then I went from there, which is quite handy. There's some new ones I've seen as well. You can do a sketch, and you scan that in, put it in, and it'll make a 3D, quite realistic 3D photograph of a building, which is quite good. So if you just draw a line, just like a 2-minute sketch of a shape of a skyscraper or something, I don't know, shape like that or something, it'll give you a skyscraper, like a real image of a skyscraper shaped like
all on
that.
Midjourney.
This is another software, I can't remember the name, but Midjourney is just text.
Okay.
But there's some new ones out now. You can actually put your sketch in, and it'll translate that to like a photograph, which is pretty cool. Yeah, but I don't think it's not going to replace the design process. It'll just help and speed things up.
Okay.
I think that's happening to most industries, really. It's not replacing it. It's just helping and speeding things up.
Okay. So, for the time that you have been in Tanzania and in Dar es Salaam, or even in Australia, what are the most notable projects that you have been involved in so far?
Obviously, my first one in Tanzania, the Luminary, which is in Masaki, opposite Ecuador restaurant. It's a 5-story office building. That was the first green building, LEED-rated green building in the country. Morocco Square, I worked on for a while. Worked on for about 4 years. That was a big project. I think that was one of the biggest developments in East Africa at the time. That, and I did a university building in Zambia. Recently finished, and hotel in Zanzibar just finished. Yeah, there's a few, but I think the first one I did in Tanzania is quite memorable because it's the first one here, really. The ones I did previously, other countries, you're working in a big team and you don't feel like you had much contribution because I had less experience, and that's the thing with being an architect. A lot of it is you work in a team, and depending on the project, if it's a huge project, you might just be doing one small thing, and you don't feel like you've contributed that much.
Okay.
So that's why I moved to Tanzania. I feel like I'm designing a lot more. So yeah, it's usually the first project or the most recent project that you feel is most significant.
Okay. So you only design like skyscrapers, or you can design anything?
Not yet. That's my ambition. My, I've, since I've been here, I've done a lot of. Well, in UK, I did a bit of healthcare and education schools. Then in Thailand, I did a lot of interior, and it was that bit of healthcare as well, like a hospital project as well. And then Australia, still got into healthcare again, like hospitals and stuff. And I was sick of it. I wanted to get out of it, but like once you've got experience in something, they see that and they want that. But I didn't really want to do hospitals anymore. So that's one thing you have to be careful if you end up specialising in something. But I didn't really want to specialise so much. I wanted to work on more commercial and residential and other stuff as well. I didn't want to work on one type of building, all the time. So Tanzania gave me
Okay.
that experience. So I've been doing like office buildings from 5-story to 20-story. I've done university building, business university building. I've done hotels, villas, shopping malls, apartments from 20-story to 5-story apartments, factories, warehouses. Yeah, the list goes on.
You said you did Morocco Square. I'm very interested in that. So would you consider that uh, just a building or as a skyscraper, or what qualities should a building have to be considered as a skyscraper?
That's over 100 meters high. Officially, a skyscraper is. I can't remember how. That depends how many floors go. It might be. So that wasn't a skyscraper. There's only. I don't think there is any skyscrapers in Dar es Salaam. I think they're a few meters short of 100 meters. There's some in Nairobi. So 100 meters is depends. Sometimes an office building there might be 4 meters per floor. So what's that? The maths on that. So it's around what's that? Divided by 4 is like 25, probably about 30 stories maybe. But if it's residential, the floor to floor is not as high because less services, so it'd be many other floors. There might be one in Dar es Salaam, but last time I checked, I don't think there was when I counted like the height of it. So yeah, skyscraper is like 100 meters high. That's officially, but it doesn't really matter that much, I guess. High-rise building is roughly, I think it's above like 10 stories. I think a high-rise. So you could say Morocco Square's high-rise building. But that's a mixed use. Like I said, you get residential, commercial, healthcare buildings. That you class that project as a mixed use because it has everything. Has everything on the planet. There's office buildings, office tower, hotel, apartments, cinema, shopping mall, all in one project. So you kind of call that a mixed use project. Yeah. So that's good experience when you work on that.
Okay. And based on your experience, because you have been doing your job in different countries, okay, let's take a case study of, let's say, Australia and Tanzania. Previously you mentioned that according to the Board of Architecture, it costs around 500 to about 1,000 per square meter, right? That's what you said. And
that's just based on general town,
yeah.
not the board or anything. It's just
Okay.
general.
Okay, in general. So is it more expensive to do construction in Tanzania compared, let's say, to Australia or Thailand?
Oh no! It's much cheaper here. The cost of labour and stuff in Australia is crazy. It's like so expensive. In fact, a lot of labourers, they call them tradies, like carpenters, uh, plasterers, and people who work on buildings. They get good money actually. They get almost probably about the same amount of money as a professional, like a lawyer, architect, or something. So I don't know why. It's also to do with the minimum wage as well. I don't know about Australia, but UK. Someone told me UK. The minimum wage in UK is something like £11 per hour. So you can't. You're not allowed to pay anyone less than. So that's around $10 an hour.
Okay.
So you can't get labour cheap. You know what I mean? In Tanzania, you can pay. Uh, it's cheap for labour, so it's going to be cheap to build stuff, really. And land is cheap, much cheaper here. In England, for instance, it's unheard of buying land and building a house. You just buy a house if you're lucky.
Yeah.
But no one really, unless they're rich, buys land.
Yeah.
But in Australia, it was a bit more common. You can buy land and build a house. But I know it's just like very expensive to. It's possible, but it's it's a lot more expensive. I don't really like trends much. I mean, I always think design's a language, not a style. There's many styles that have gone on in the past, but I always think trends and styles come and go. I mean, we're not interior designers. They have more trends, if you know what I mean. They have 1 minute it's all leafy patterns, the next minute it's something else. But architecture is not really about trends, I don't think. It's it's more of a language, not style or trend.
In Tanzania, long time ago, people used to build houses with like very big roofs, and right now, more people are moving to those kind of hidden roofs, contemporary design.
Flat roof.
Yeah. I've seen most people love those kind of roofs these days. Although it varies from city to city. Let's say when you go to Dodoma, it's very different. Like you can see a house, the roof is bigger than the house.
Yeah.
Have you been to Dodoma?
No, not yet actually. But Australia is a bit like that. I saw this housing estate, and all I saw were roofs. I didn't see any house. All I saw was a massive roof.
The roof, yeah. So that's how it is in Dodoma. Like a very big.
Is there more rain there?
There's no rain. That's
No
the
rain?
thing. It's like semi-arid. Yeah, like it's very rare to rain. That's why they grow mostly grapes, because it's like semi-arid. Yeah, and the reason that it's the capital city is because the late Julius Kambarage Nyerere, I think he saw that place nobody wanted to live there. That's why he tried to make it the capital so that it can a little bit develop. Yeah, because of the harsh weather conditions over there. So my question was, where do you see the future of architecture going to in Tanzania?
Short term, it's very fast here, so they're going to build. People want to build quickly, so the same kind of stuff will happen. But we need to respect. I think we need to respect the local environment and culture more. We don't want buildings like Dubai coming up here. We want something that blends into the surroundings a bit more and respects the local culture. But I think trouble is that I think that it will continue to be like that. But like in the long term, though, I think around the world, because of the green building sustainability and stuff, I think we're going to look more into the past. I think we need to look more in the past of what was originally built years ago and implement some of those things. Like there are some new buildings nowadays been made more out of timber. I think they're building the first ever timber apartment building in Zanzibar. I think the structure is like made of timber apparently, but you have to be careful where the timber comes from, because if it doesn't come from a sustainable source, then it's not sustainable. But I think, yeah, the future's looking good in Tanzania, but there just needs to be more local architects working on these projects, because a lot of the clients, they just get it designed like, I don't know, in Dubai or something, and they just design any old thing, and then they plonk it in Dar es Salaam, and it's not right. So you have to be careful of that. I just hope more of that doesn't turn up. So I don't know the future, but I'm worried about I'm worried about the future a bit. Um, I think you just need to hire more local designers to even consult on the project, give advice and stuff, and work with. Um, for these are the big projects, because I work on a lot of big projects. So it's just the future is just growing quickly, really. That's what's happening. There'll be more high rise in town. I think there'll be more. I think I went to Johannesburg last year, and they had masonettes. They're kind of um, apartments, but so you might have one or two floors, like a house, and then another house on top. It's like masonettes. So you might have a house, another house on top. It's like apartments, but you might have a 2 stories or something, a balcony, like a house. So I think there might be more of that coming up.
House on top of a house?
Kind of. It's maybe like, say, like one block is four flats. So I think there might be that in future on the outskirts of town. I think that would be. I can imagine that a lot of people doing that. So instead of individual houses, there'll be like, about say like a complex with 4 houses in one go, another 4 houses, another 4 houses, all in one complex. Instead of these, we need to build less of these 20-story loads of apartments, because there's so much land in here. You don't need to build so high. Only in town, yeah, I can understand that, but there needs to be more. There's like low density and high density. There's like nothing in between. So I think there needs to be something in between. Like a cross between an apartment complex and a house, like in between. Yeah. So I think there'll probably be more of that coming, because there's not much of that.
I checked your profile. I've seen that you like taking pictures of different kind of buildings, maybe taking selfies in front of the buildings. Yeah. So here in Tanzania, what's your most favorite? Like, you say, okay, this is the best building that you have seen around.
I like Karaoke Market Building. That's a good example of reflects the culture.
New one?
No, the old one. The one built, was it 1950s or something?
The one that was on fire.
Yeah. It's our company refurbished it, like cleaned it up and everything, and it's like quite beautiful when you see it. So the design is like shaped like trees, those trees, so like the Tanzania trees and culture. And it's interesting because the market is not necessarily that building, but the building, it kind of draws people around, and it's like a focal point. So the market is not really inside the building, it's all the way around, and that's kind of the focal point of Karaoke, which is really nice. And it's kind of a special building there. And that area is famous. Like the first weekend I arrived here, that's the first thing I went to go and see. It's like, so that kind of reflects the local culture. People are inside it, people are around it. It's got a nice design concept. So yeah, that's one of my favorite. That's like, and then you get the local ones like the Maasai huts. That's like a pure sustainable green building. That is a perfect example of local materials.
The Maasai house?
Yeah, local materials, local built by the actual person who's living in it. Sustainable materials. It's doesn't harm the environment. That's like the perfect house. Um, so there's the old stuff like that, and then new buildings. Usually my projects. I like Exim Bank, the one in town. It has these big cantilevers on the sides.
You were involved in that as well?
Nah, that's before my time. Yeah, there's a few.
What do you think about the building, the one that's close to Mimar City? The very blue building.
Yeah, I worked on that. Our company built it, so yeah, it's got the largest. It's got for the time it had the most glass than any other building in East Africa.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is it the tallest building in East Africa?
It was in East Africa. It was when it was built, but not for very long. I think some other buildings were built in Ethiopia, Nairobi since then. But it was, I think it's roughly, but this, yeah, it was roughly, it was the tallest at the time, I think. Yeah, it needs more shading on that building. There's no shading. I wasn't involved in the design. I can't say much because we built it.
What do you mean when you say there's no shading?
In a hot climate like this, it's important to keep the building cool, so you don't use a lot of air conditioning, because air conditioning uses a lot of energy. So you can put shading devices on the building to block the sun. A bit like blinds, but not on the inside, because if you put blinds on the inside of the building, the sun is already heating up the building, so it doesn't do much on the inside. But if you put something on the outside, like some louvers or some shades, permanent shading, that'll help keep the building cool. So a lot of my projects, for instance, in the north, the sun is high, the north and south orientation, the sun is high in Dar es Salaam, so if you put horizontal shades on the outside of the building, it'll block the sun, so the glass won't get hot, and it won't make the building hot, and then you won't have to use so much air conditioning. And then on the east and west side, you can put, because the sun is quite low, you can put vertical shadings on the outside, so that helps with the morning and evening sun. So there's stuff like that you can do to keep the building cool. So that building doesn't have any shading, it's just solid glass going up the building. So like you have to pay a lot for the type of glass, double glazing, to keep the building cool. But I think it's better to incorporate both. Have a double glazing, high, lowy glass, but you should incorporate some shading if you can, because it helps minimize the heat of the building. It also gives it some character as well, like you reflect in the local climate and things like that.
You've lived in different countries, but still you decided to come to Tanzania and spend 10 years of your life here. Why did you choose Tanzania?
It was the job, really. I got offered the job, so it kind of chose me. Tanzania kind of chose me. And I'm happy to live here. It's been good experience, better experience than I've had in the past, and yeah, it's been a good life. That's why I've stayed here for so long, really.
Nice.